Hi, this is Frank with a Frank Opinion. Recently, a comedian and political commentator on YouTube by the name of Jimmy Dore has started a movement, so to speak, has had an idea, and the idea has taken off, and it has provoked some controversy. But I'm one to tell you, and those of you that have followed my videos know that I'm a staunch supporter of Medicare for all and have been trying to educate Americans on how simple it is to finance it. Well, I'm here to tell you that I am in total 150% support of Jimmy Dore and what he's trying to do. And let me tell you the reason why. Because he's correct. What he's asking for is for progressives, particularly those new ones that we have recently elected to Congress that ran on very progressive platforms, members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and other right-thinking Democrats within the total caucus to withhold their vote for Nancy Pelosi for another term as House Speaker unless she brings Medicare for all to a full House floor vote. And the reason that he's correct about this comes from Organizing 101. Whenever you have something that you need accomplished, whether it's fighting for the ability to have a union formed in your place of work, whether you want to get out a superintendent of a school system that is bad news, or whether you want something as significant as providing health care as a right for every American in the United States, Organizing 101 says you always want a clear yes or no, and you never want mush. Congresspeople, elected officials, go to school, apparently, to give their citizenry, their constituents that have elected them, mush. Maybe they also took as an elective the rope-a-dope, the Muhammad Ali rope-a-dope school of being a politician, because they more often than not never give you a straight answer. But in this case, and I'm going to suggest to you in future cases, whether it be climate change or criminal justice reform or what have you, you want clear yeses or nos and get into the habit of asking for them. Never mush. The reason why you want that is particularly in the case of co-sponsors of bills. You really don't know whether they're going to have the courage, the moral fortitude to vote for what they said they're co-sponsoring unless you force them to say yay or nay on a floor vote. Polls have come out recently and they all continue to show a rise, obviously in a pandemic, with 15 million Americans or more that relied on their employer-sponsored health care to no longer have a job and therefore no longer have that health insurance that was provided by their employer. All those polls, whether you call it Medicare for all, universal health care, or a national health program, the support from the Democratic Party members are 87%, 83%, 87%. That means that Americans who align themselves with the Democratic Party are registered 87%, 83%, 87% again. Among independents, a strong majority support a universal health program regardless of what it's called. As I've indicated in previous videos, the 5 most recent studies emphatically support Medicare for all in terms of ethics, in terms of health care, in terms of saving the country that we live in tons of money and saving individual citizens tons of money in the form of deductibles, co-pays, co-insurance, and premiums. A just released CBO report, not the first CBO report by the way, that has endorsed Medicare for all. Reports go back to 1990, emphatically supporting a single-payer system. The most recent study, I believe, came out this December 11th. And on December 12th, an article said the following. Yesterday, the Congressional Budget Office released an estimate of the cost of implementing a single-payer insurance program in the United States. The CBO's report is more exhaustive than any other recent study on the subject and concludes that replacing our current system with a single-payer health insurance system would ensure every American while reducing overall health spending in our country. You think our Congresspeople read this? This is Nancy Pelosi's CBO report, indicating once again that single-payer Medicare for all is the way to go. I don't think so, unless you force it. Nancy Pelosi, who's been in office for 33 years, she's been an enemy of universal health care since day one. She oversaw 3 committee hearings, Budget, Commerce, House Ways and Means, that were a complete sham. I watched all 11 and a half hours of those hearings, and only one congressperson, in the 5 minutes that he had, indicated, or rather refuted the lie that was allowed to be perpetuated for 99% of those 11 and a half hours. And that was the Mercatus Institute, funded by the Koch brothers, Republican essentially, conservative think tank, saying that Medicare for all, the Jamila Prayabal bill that was being talked about there in those hearings, would cost the United States an additional $32 trillion more than what we were already paying in health care. Not so. A lie. All the Democrats, all the people that were there to testify, nobody said anything with regard to refuting that lie, with the exception of, God bless him, Congressman Bobby Scott of Virginia, who said, by the way, you really mean in lieu of, in place of what we're spending now under a Medicare for all system, your report suggests that we will be spending $32 trillion over 10 years, or $3.2 trillion a year. That's a big difference from the lie, additional $32 trillion, and telling everyone that you'll have to double your taxes, the taxes that you pay, in order to support that lie. Through a kind of Woodward and Bernstein, all the president's men type of approach, I managed to get a non-denial denial by a staff member for a House Democrat several years ago that basically said that Nancy Pelosi had muzzled her caucus with regard to discussing Medicare for all, whether it be on Joe Scarborough, Morning Joe, whether it be on Rachel Maddow, whatever the venue is, don't talk about it. She muzzled her people. Non-denial denial. Anybody that wants to call me on this can possibly do so. So what Jimmy Dore is calling for, and it's not about Jimmy Dore, we have to call for it. We have to support this idea, this strategy that comes from Organizing 101. Call your progressive members, especially the squad and the most recently elected, on their campaign of being strong and courageous for progressive causes, and ask them to withhold their vote for Nancy Pelosi unless she brings Medicare for all to a full House vote, so that you can find out where your representative stands. So that's not only the 15 or so people that are suggested on the website that I'm going to show you in a second, all the members of the Democratic caucus, but particularly those that have co-sponsored or have just been elected 2 years ago or recently elected on campaigns of being terrific, strong, powerful, ethical, moral progressives. Write every word that you can hashtag Force to Vote. Go to this organization's website, new, exciting. They have other things that you can do to help this out. ForceToVote.org. Sign the petition. I did. I will be sharing that on in my Facebook groups later on today, along with this video. Do this. Thank you.